It's the man that needs no introduction. The introduction needs him. Legend has it, the early bird searches for him. Mel's foot is always the best way forward. When there's a will, there's the Kiper way. With Mel Kiper, first things are never first. He is the most interesting mock drafter in the world. It's Mel Kiper. Let's go. He is back with his 1.0. You know it's officially draft season when this man is here, and he is here in full effect. You see him right there, shouting the words of Fernando Mendoza. Sponsored by Oral-B IO electronic toothbrush. It's all up in this business. I need to brush the teeth up in here. They're getting a little yellow up in the action. So anyway, we gotta look at this mock draft, go over it. Here it is, shakalaka, and the first pick. Oh, it's a shocker. It's Fernando Mendoza, the man from Indiana, the Hoosiers. Of course, I got to do that at least a couple more times. It's going to be funny, but easy pick. Obviously, here's your franchise quarterback. I think Raiders fans would be more than up in arms if he is not the pick. Now, a trade down could, of course, be an option, and that would be a big option too. Oh my goodness, the amount of draft capital that somebody's going to have to come up to get Fernando Mendoza would be roster altering. So I guess it is an option for them to think about. But Mendoza, he's really good, and he's the guy, right? I mean, if there's a dude at number 1 overall, it's Fernando Mendoza. We don't need to go into that more than that. New York, they go Arvell Reese. The Jets ranked 31st in sacks with 26. Will McDonald was the only man on the roster more than 4. And basically, they all came in the Cleveland game, I feel like. They need help at the edge. Absolutely. Whether it's Arvell Reese, David Bailey, Ruben Bain, getting one of those guys secures some more fortification on the defensive line. I love it. Please, as a Jets fan, the defensive pressure, we had none. It just comes down to whether or not you feel like he is a true edge rusher. That's the big question mark for me. But he's got the tools. He's got the talent. And then we go on to Francis Mauigoa, a pick that I did yesterday in my mock draft for the Arizona Cardinals. I think he's really solidified himself as a top 10, top 5 pick, even possibly in this draft. It wouldn't shock me if the Giants ooze and salivate over a guy like Francis Mauigoa. They want big physical monsters. I think Arizona is also going to want some big physical monsters up on their offensive line. Mauigoa is the guy. And then we've got Tennessee. David Bailey, the edge rusher from Texas Tech. He's the selection for them. They forgo wide receiver. And that's fine. Like, they need a pass rusher in their room. Their edge room it's a little weak. I do think Olufemi Oladejo is going to have a good year too. He was good in run defense this year. He needs to work on some pass rush tools, get those hands, get some clubs, get some swipes and something. And if he can do that, I think he'd be a really good football player. But the lack of depth there with free agents, maybe Arden Key's back. He bought a home. He wants to stay, he said. But right now, they could use some more talent there to go along with Olufemi Oladejo. David Bailey would do that. Just comes down to whether or not you feel like you can get a good wide receiver on the day 2 or in free agency. New York Football Giants, Carnell Tate. They go get another weapon, a big-time target, too, to pair along with Malik Neighbors. I am down with this one. I like it. And I think that whether it's Tyson, Tate, Lemon, getting one of those guys is certainly an option. But what it comes down to is what they do in free agency. Is Illuminor back? If he's not, this is a Spencer Fanu, Francis Mauigoa pick. If Wandale Robinson's back, then obviously maybe you look at some other spot. Maybe you look at defense or linebacker. You could say Sonny Styles would be a great pick here. Caleb Downs would help out their secondary immensely. There's a lot of areas that they could look at here. Heck, just imagine drafting Ruben Bain and putting him up at 4I next to Sexy Dexy on that interior defensive line. That wouldn't be bad either. But anyway, that would be a unique one. But I like this one here. Carnell Tate, good pick from the Buckeyes. On to Cleveland. They go and take Spencer Fanu, right tackle from Utah, to be the selection to help the offensive line. The more I'm looking at it for the Browns, the more I like this pick. They need to fortify the trenches. It's so bad. It's ghostly bad. They need much improvement on the offensive line. They could use a whole new offensive line in many regards. They might need a brand new offensive line in the next coming years. So finding one of those guys here, plus some free agency help, is a big need. I've been double dipping because I think it's such a big need for them. And they can find a receiver, possibly with that first round pick too. Commanders, Ruben Bain Jr. defensive end, Miami, the Hurricane. He was wreaking havoc in the Indiana game. He was wreaking havoc all in the playoffs throughout the year, of course. The beginning of the year, he came out smoking. He was really pecking on people's poking and really destroying dude offensive linemen. Emil Wagner doesn't like him probably very much. And when it comes to Ruben Bain, whether or not he plays on the inside a little bit more at the next level is going to be a big thing, but that's fine. Washington, they need some more pass rush in general. Ruben Bain can answer the bell. New Orleans Saints, speaking of the bell, Mardi Gras is going off here soon, I believe, right? And then you got Jordan Tyson to answer that bell with another wide receiver to go along with Chris Olave. You got Olave, you got Tyson. That's a great 1-2 punch to shake it all up in that offense. Really could use some more firepower. Chiefs, Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame. Hey, they need a dynamic runner in there. Their run game has been so all over the place, and they could really use that guy who could be somebody that can take some pressure off Mahomes and maybe have more of a balanced offense would be nice. And I'm sure Andy Reid would like that too. He does, going back to his day, like he'll run more of a balanced offense. And so we'll see what happens. But Jeremiah Love certainly would make a lot of sense. Wide receiver, pass rush, all those things too on the table. But Jeremiah Love certainly is a heck of a player. Hey, this guy could also be on the table. Caleb Downs, the Bengals, Browns, Bengals. Man, wow, I always get those teams. I'm bugging. I'm serious. It's the CBs, but in the same division. But Cincinnati Bengals. I'm sorry. Caleb Downs. I'm not sorry for this pick. I love it. Great pick. Mel Kiper. This is a great mock draft so far. Where are the curveballs? I'm serious. These are all great picks. I can't say nothing. Caleb Downs is fantastic. Exactly the player that they need. Somebody that can take away over the middle of the field better, be an overall beast in the back end. What arguments are to be made for the Bengals? They need a stud. They need to maybe stop answering all these crazy freak athletes. And Downs a good athlete, but they need somebody that can play football right away. Miami Dolphins. Okay, Keldrick Folk. Here's the first pick. Where okay, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of other needs. They could look at Sonny Styles here. They could look at going after a corner, Jerron McCoy, Mansour Lane. Go after, I mean, if one of the top 3 wide receivers, maybe Mekhi Lemon isn't out of the question here. Offensive line is not out of the question here. There's a lot of possibilities. Keldrick Folk would help them out, and Chop Robinson hasn't quite delivered. And Folk could also play a little like they would be able to roll out with Chubb, Robinson, and Folk out on that defensive line. No problem. So, I mean, it just depends on who is the new coach and how they want to roll about things. And he even mentions Jerron McCoy here. Definitely a lot of possibilities on what this team could do. And for right now, it's going to come down to I'm guessing Chubb is back, though, but they could save some money there if they need be. It's not the worst pick, but that would be my first, I guess, out of this, where I'm like, okay, maybe I'd go different routes just because I don't know. Folk, we'll see. We'll see. But here is the guy that I have no problems, no quorums with. If he is there, he is the pick, in my opinion, for the Dallas Cowboys. Sonny Styles. It's now looking sunny in Dallas. Jerry just got himself a bright spot in that middle of the defense. Sonny Styles is one of the best football players in this draft. There's not many things he can't do. He is a freak athlete, and he's got a monster size profile. He's got probably 34-inch type of arms, too. He's got pterodactyl arms. I think pterodactyls have long arms, but don't quote me on that. I'm not a dinosaur expert and the philosophical times, but Sonny Styles certainly a dude and would be a baller in that defense. On to the Rams. Jermod McCoy. No problem with this one. But I would also like Mekhi Lemon here. I think Lemon would be a great pick. Either McCoy or Lemon, but Lemon or McCoy, those two guys would really help out this football team. However, the pecking order that they feel comfortable with this selection. And speaking of Mekhi Lemon, I was hoping he'd follow the Jets, but the Ravens take him here. Zay Flowers, Mekhi Lemon, Rashad Bateman, nice little 3 combination. They do need another weapon in their offense. I do like this one. I do. And especially depending on what coaching staff comes in here, maybe they start playing a little more 11 personnel possibly. A lot of things are on the table, but Mekhi Lemon is such a good football player, and I absolutely love it. I love it. This is the pick I did yesterday, too. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon. He's a freak athlete, right? He's a dude that he can keep you on heavy personnel, keep teams guessing. He can block, and he is going to be a big nightmare of a matchup piece for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team that they've already got some matchup nightmares. You add in another one here with Kenyon Sadiq. On to the New York Jets. Oh, no, what are you doing, Ty Simpson? No, The old Mel Kiper's here. To Remington going crazy. Woohoo! Unbelievable. No, don't do it. I'd rather have Drew Aller here. Just take Drew Aller. I'm okay with that. No, no, I'm joking. Look, Ty Simpson, he's super talented. He's a good kid and everything like that, and nothing, nothing but the best for him. And obviously, his dad, was a coach, and he's developed a lot sitting behind there, only one season, which also makes this a little bit challenging of an evaluation. He struggled at the second half of the season, and it was bad. It was not good or anything like, oh, it was just this and that. Like, he just struggled, and I thought their offensive line was still fine. He just struggled a lot in many ways. Couldn't get it to his receivers. Yes, he was dealing with injury, and there's that. But for right now, I just would not feel comfortable taking him here at 16. I really would not. Second round, okay, I can take a chance on him there, and we'll see what happens, right? If it's Tyler Shook thing where he comes out and we're like, oh wow, he impresses us, I'd feel good about that sort of thing from there. But at 16, I'd rather get like Denzel Boston here, or maybe we can go defensive line again. Go get or Peter Woods is still available here. I mean, corner would be an option. Mansoor Delane. There's just so many other options that I would rather go than taking Ty Simpson at this spot. So there's my opinion. It is what it is. It is what it is. Why Mel Kiper has some concerns, but you have concerns, but you're taking him here at 16 for us. What are you trying to do to us? No, it's okay. Detroit Lions, Vega Ioane. This would be a nice pick. Improve the interior of the offensive line, which is a problem. Whether Ioane plays center or Ratledge plays center or Mahogany, they can figure those scenarios out. They need to improve their interior offensive line, so they do that here with Vega Ioane. Good pick. We get back to some less craziness. Mansoor Delane, corner from LSU, would be a good option for the Vikings. Skull, baby. And up into that cornerback room to pair along with Murphy and Rogers, Mr. Rogers. Carolina, C.J. Allen, Georgia linebacker. One you don't really see that often, actually, but it's a good pick. Like, they could use another guy in that linebacking room. Rosenboom's a free agent, and just generally speaking, actually, he even says that Rosenboom's a free agent, and they could use another down linebacker to go along with Trayvon Wallace. Yeah, heck yeah, I'm okay with it. It's maybe a little early, but Allen's a good football player, so I don't have a problem with that one. Use a beast up in the middle. Akeem Mesidor, defensive end from Miami. I really do need to go through Mesidor's full film this season, but I will say, just watching Miami, he's been really good off the edge. He's going to be, 25? He's like 25-year-old rookie, so there's that. Okay, he's a little bit of an older prospect. However, if you can get an impact player for, even 5 years in their contract, then that would be a win, right? And you can still use him and make him another couple-year extension after that, something. So at the end of the day, you get good football players and you never have a problem like that, even if they're on your team for just 5 to 6, 7 seasons, something like that. Even if you have to use like a franchise tag, et cetera, et cetera. But Dallas needs some more pass rush. You pair him up in that room with Donovan Ezaraku. There's the pretty picture, right? Ooh, yeah, boom. Pittsburgh Steelers go with Denzel Boston, and it's possible Ole Miss Trinidad Chambliss finds himself in the first round, obviously depending on what happens with the NCAA eligibility lawsuit sponsored by Ken Nunn and the Hammer or somebody, right? Get him out there. But I think Denzel Boston's a great pick. I love his hands. I think he's got an exceptional ability to, even though he's the bigger guy, he can throttle down, and he really is a nuanced route runner too for a guy his size. I like his movement skills, and I think that he can thrive all across the field, but especially in like a Mike Williams role, vertical on the plane, get him the ball. He's great on back shoulders, high pointing, all those sort of things. He's a really good wide receiver. So getting themselves another playmaker is an absolute must for whoever the quarterback may be, whether it's Malik Willis, even though he's being rumored like Miami or Cleveland right now. I don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Maybe just a good idea to tank for a season, and then next year you go out and you get Arch Manning or somebody in next year's draft, which looks like it could be loaded. Onto the Chargers. Peter Woods would be a great selection. If he falls to you at 22, I'm running. You put yourself on that defensive line with Jamari Caldwell and Peter Woods as your young future defensive lineman. Ooh, yeah, baby. And maybe Tier Tar's back. Maybe he's not. Even if he is, they're still going to use some 3-down linemen up on that front. Jim Harbaugh is going to want those big men. Whether Jesse Minter's back as a here or he could be gone as head coach, still think they're going to use these guys. So I like that pick a lot. Avion Terrell, I love this pick as well. I think Terrell's a great football player. I think he's a little underrated in this draft class. You put him in there with Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, you got yourself a young trio, legendary, booming. Yeah, I like it a lot. Or offensive line could be an option. Caden Proctor's available too. Zachariah Branch. Woo! Branch, the electric speedster. Here he is. The Cleveland. They get themselves a wide receiver. Not Casey Concepcion. They go Branch. I still would go Concepcion here over Branch. I do like Branch, and his playmaking ability is insane. Get the ball in his hands. He's a yak merchant. I just would say that at this one, is he pairing him to Jackson Smith and Jigba and Puka Nakua? I don't know. That's a little bit of a wild one. I don't necessarily see that, but Branch is electric. I do agree with that. No one can catch him in space. And maybe he does rise up, especially after a really good combine. I could see him putting up a very, very good one at that. So he could start getting some first round buzz. You know how it works, right? Xavier Worthy, maybe Zachariah Branch can fall in those footsteps. Mel Kiper, a very interesting one there. Caden McDonald from the Ohio State University. Pretty self-explanatory. I do like Caleb Banks a little bit more, but I think McDonald has a really high floor and somebody that you don't have to worry about the injury situation as much, hopefully, right? And McDonald's a good football player. So you put him up on that defensive line next to Gervon Dexter. He may not be this elite pass rusher, but he's going to be a really stout run defender and definitely that Andrew Billings type of replacement for them in that defensive line. Buffalo, whoo, Chris Brazzell, the second from Tennessee, going to be the pick here to add in some wide receivers. They need a wide receiver. Okay, they really do. I think it's clear cut that finding themselves a number one weapon would elevate this offense. And it's really that final piece that this Buffalo Bills team needs. So I would love it, right? I really would love them to find that guy, whether it's an A.J. Brown trade possibly, or if the Eagles would do that. Chris Brazzell is an interesting prospect. I still have him as more of a day two guy. I'm not sure, but who knows how things can work after the combine. The dude's got size. He's got that catch radius you look for, and he's actually a pretty good mover. Like especially for a guy his size, like he can move in and out of breaks. He's not just like this vertical stem guy or nothing like that. So finding a number one receiver is a big priority. Offensive line could be a big priority. Those are some spots still. A linebacker, maybe in a more edge talent, depending on Landon Jackson's injury. All things to keep a close eye out on for the Buffalo Bills. 49ers. Caleb Lomu, Utah left tackle. I like this one a lot. He could play left guard early on for them, or at least give him competition with Connor Colby, Spencer Burford, whether or not, what they want to do there. But Lomu could be their long-term left tackle for Trent Williams. Nothing else to say there. Proctor would also be a nice one. Speaking of Caden Proctor, here he is. The Houston Texans snag Caden Proctor and another one. I mean, it's D'Amico Riley, like big monster offensive lineman from a big time school. Oh, sign me up, right? That's an easy selection, he's saying. Caden Proctor would, in this case scenario, either play right tackle or left guard for them and have it with Titus Howard, mess bad wins, and figuring all the best cases to play. But he would basically, I imagine you fill in for Trent Williams over at right tackle, and then you keep Titus over at left guard. Love it, and I love it. Rams, Monroe Freeland. Oh, 3 tackles off in a row, or offensive lineman in general. And with Monroe Freeland, he could either play right tackle or right guard of the future, is my guess here for them. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with this one. But McClendon's been really good. So it just really comes down to this is more of a future pick, I guess, for the Rams, or at least some good depth because they've had some injuries. So always having some depth. You're going to use Freeland. Like he's going to play at some point in the season more than likely. And if he doesn't, then great. Your offensive line stays 100% healthy, which is very, very unlikely. Yeah, obviously there's that. But Freeland, I don't have a problem with this one. He's a developmental guy. And as I said before, whether he takes over for Kevin Dotson in a year after his contract's up, or he wants to play right tackle, and then, maybe they put McClendon over at guard or whatever. There's a lot of possibilities, and McClendon's going to be going to a contract year too. So I don't hate that one. I really don't. It's not a bad option. Caleb Banks, great pick here for the Broncos. He would replace John Franklin Myers up on that defensive line. Add yourself another badass up on that defense, right? He's a dude, right? And, I don't take that word like he is a guy, and I like Banks to the point where I think he'd be a top 10 player in the draft if it weren't for injuries. So Caleb Banks, lock that one in, is a nice best available too at this point. A couple other, linebacker if CJ Allen falls here. I think safety is a possibility. It depends. Brandon Jones could be a cap casualty, and depending on his injury situation, they could look at a Dylan Thieneman or a Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Offensive line of the future, certainly an option as well for them. But a little run on offensive line makes sense to go that route. Catches, how is the pick here from Texas A&M? I like this one a lot. Just kind of fits a big need. Chaseon's a free agent. And just generally speaking, they could use more edge talent. So Howell gives them that guy off the edge. I don't think they're worried too much about the traits, side, the arm, short arms, and stuff like that. Final pick of the mock, Brandon Cisse. Man buys a camera with a roll of films from a thrift store only to embark on a strange. Ah, how can you leave me hanging like this? Now I got to click on. I'm not going to click on that. That looks a little dangerous in my opinion. Who knows what's going to pop up there? You know what I'm saying? But I guess that's the excitement of it. But Brandon Cisse is an interesting pick for the Seattle Seahawks. Any corner. What's Colton Hood, Keith Abney? I'm still a little higher on those guys than Cisse, but Cisse is a good player, and I need to really dive into the film on Cisse and take a look. But I have seen some all 22 clips of him, and the guy, he can make some plays. He's a really smooth athlete. His mirroring ability and press man is exceptional. And for the Seattle Seahawks, you put him in there with Witherspoon. Heck yeah, that's a nice little combination. So that is it here for the legend Mel Kiper. Let me know what you think on his draft. And I hope you guys have a really good day. Let's go. It was crazy. I love Mel Kiper.